Hey there! Imagine two cops who can't stand each other. One a kung fu master, the other a motor mouth. And they've got to save a kidnapped girl before Los Angeles goes up in flames. The movie kicks off with Inspector Lee chasing a guy named Sang in one of his missions, but things get messier than he expected, and after some wild chase scenes, the bad guy slips away. Sometime later, we see Consul Han saying goodbye as he heads to work in the U.S. His right-hand man, Inspector Lee, stays behind in Hong Kong to keep things under control. On top of that, Lee took down part of a dangerous crime syndicate called the Triads and recovered some stolen artwork. So everyone's pretty impressed with his work. But Consul Han's daughter, Su-young, isn't thrilled. She's one of Lee's students and is upset her teacher isn't coming along, so he gives her a necklace so she won't forget him. On the other side, we've got Detective James Carter, working undercover for the LAPD. He's trying to stop a shipment of illegal explosives or something like that, but some cops who didn't know about his mission show up, and things spiral out of control. Still, after a couple of injured officers and some explosions, he nabs the bad guy. Next, we see Han and his crew in Los Angeles. Two of his men are driving Su-young to her first day at a new school, but someone posing as a cop shows up, and things take a bad turn. She tries to escape, but ends up kidnapped. That's when the FBI breaks the bad news to Han, and he immediately calls Inspector Lee to help with the investigation. Meanwhile, Carter's trying to patch things up with his colleagues after his last mission, but Tanya Johnson shows up, pretty annoyed because this guy loves working solo and never listens to his team. The FBI isn't happy either. They don't want any extra headaches, and if something happens to Lee, it's on them. So they ask the LAPD to assign someone to keep the inspector out of harm's way. The police captain isn't thrilled about it, but sees a chance to get Carter off his back. Instead of suspending him, the captain tricks Carter into thinking he's been called by the FBI for a big mission, and Carter buys it hook, line, and sinker. That same day, he shows up all pumped and asks the agents to fill him in, but his excitement fades when they tell him his job is to keep the foreign inspector away from the case. Still, he heads to the airport to pick up Lee, and things start off rocky because Lee, it seems, doesn't speak English, making communication a real problem. On the drive, Carter calls the captain to complain about the gig, and everyone at the station has a good laugh. But with a 2-month suspension looming, he's got no choice but to do the job. Lee asks to be taken to the consul, but Carter doesn't want to risk his career for a stranger and ignores him. Instead, he drops Lee off in Chinatown, thinking he'll have fun there, while Carter tries to dig up info on the kidnapping from a contact. The problem is, while he's distracted, Lee hops on a tour bus to get to the consul. Carter uses his skills to catch up, but Lee's faster than he thought, switching from the bus to a taxi in seconds. Luckily, Carter borrows a motorcycle and catches him, though things get tense when everyone pulls out guns, including the taxi driver. Once they realize they're both cops, things calm down. And that's when Carter learns his partner actually speaks English but chose to stay quiet to avoid chatting. As you can tell, these two are total opposites and don't get along. They keep going, bickering over little things, until they reach their destination. There, they hit up a bar, and Carter starts questioning some shady characters. But things heat up, and he asks Lee to step outside. Nothing too bad happens though, because one of the bad guys turns out to be Carter's cousin, who was just messing with him to scare the new partner. Alone, the cousin spills that he only knows about some guy from Hong Kong buying up explosives around town. But the problem is, Lee's been alone too long and gets into trouble. After a brawl with half the bar's patrons, they have to bail. By now, Lee's fed up because he's being forced to waste time, and things only get worse when Carter locks him in the car to grab some food. But Lee uses his smarts to break out and gets to the consulate with the steering wheel cuffed to his wrist. There, agents try to stop him, and when he mentions the consul's daughter, they try to arrest him. Lee uses his skills to shake them off and get inside, while others hide Han for his safety. It doesn't help though, because Lee slips in easily, and the misunderstanding finally clears up. That same night, Carter shows up at the consulate, pissed at the FBI, and they start arguing right in front of the consul. They're interrupted by a call from the kidnapper demanding a ransom for Soo-young's safe return, though the amount seems a bit steep. Carter tries to stall the call to trace it, and it works. Now, knowing the location, they send in all their people. Lee spots that it's a trap, but the agents don't take him seriously, and as you'd expect, things go south. In the chaos, the bad guy tries to bolt, but our heroes spot him and give chase. Carter falls behind because he's not exactly a rooftop jumping pro, and Lee has to handle things alone. Carter catches up eventually, but it doesn't help much, and the bad guy gets away. After the mission flops, they head back to base and watch Tanya train at disarming bombs, which she's not great at. But that's not the point. During the fight with the bad guy, he dropped a weird device, and Tanya figures out it's a remote for triggering explosives. Now, knowing what it's for, they head to the prison to talk to the dealer from the start of the movie. He doesn't trust Carter and won't help, but Lee convinces him, and he drops the name Jun Tao, who apparently owns a restaurant in Chinatown. Later, they head there but decide to have some fun and grab food while making a plan. Meanwhile, the FBI preps the ransom money, just as Sang calls saying they've got 30 minutes to deliver it to the same restaurant our heroes are headed to. The plan was for Carter to go in alone while Lee stayed outside with a radio in case things went wrong. Lee's not thrilled about it, but agrees. Carter pretends to be Jun Tao's lawyer and demands a meeting. Jun Tao orders Soo-young to be handed over, and Carter's let inside. But things get hairy. Luckily, Lee went in to eat, but someone slips something weird into his drink. Spotting Soo-young's necklace on a waitress, Lee decides not to drink and poses as a waiter to save his partner. After this failed attempt, we get some action-packed scenes where our heroes take down the bad guys and dodge bullets to get out in one piece. But the trouble's not over. The FBI shows up with the money and learns the girl's been moved because of our heroes' actions. Since they botched the investigation, they're pulled from the case, and Lee's sent back to Hong Kong. But then Sang calls, giving them another shot to save Soo-young, though the ransom's now bumped to 70 million. And that's not all. At that moment, Han's old friend stops by to say hi. But the consul doesn't know this guy is none other than Jun Tao, the mastermind behind the kidnapping. Talk about a plot twist. Damn! Carter doesn't give up, though, and asks Tanya to dig up info on the FBI's plans. He pretends to be an airport technician and reports a plane malfunction to delay Lee's flight and convince him to help. The new plan is to leave the money at a Chinese art exhibition happening that night. Since Jun Tao's at the consulate, he advises his friend to pay the ransom during a call. That evening, the place is crawling with FBI agents, and they scrape together the remaining cash. Everything's going smoothly until our heroes show up. Han gives a speech, but Carter's not exactly glued to it. The consul gets too emotional, and Jun Tao offers to finish the speech for him. That's when Carter recognizes him and interrupts the ceremony, calling for an evacuation over a fake bomb threat. Then the consul learns the truth. Jun Tao owned most of the exhibition's artifacts, but after his crime empire fell, he lost everything and kidnapped his colleague's daughter to get the money back. While all this is going down, Carter takes out one of the bad guys outside and rescues Soo-young. But there's a problem. She's wearing a vest rigged with explosives, and they need to get her to Tanya to disarm it. Carter, as usual, puts on a show and convinces the girl to help. Tanya takes her to remove the vest while Carter distracts the bad guys. In a few seconds, the vest is off. But the danger's not over, as the explosives can still be triggered by the remote. Before they can deal with it, they spot Jun Tao making a run for it. Carter goes after him, while Lee takes on Sang. Though it looks dicey, Lee uses his skills to handle the bad guy. Lee ends up in trouble, though, hanging over 20 meters up with Jun Tao clinging to his legs. The villain falls, but Lee can't hold on much longer. Carter steps in with some quick thinking and saves his partner in the most epic way. In the end, everything turns out okay. Han thanks Lee for his work, and Lee returns the necklace to Soo-young. We also see Carter at the airport planning his first vacation in years when FBI agents interrupt with an offer to work with them. As you can guess, he turns them down. After saying no, he's ready to board a first-class flight to Hong Kong with his new buddy. So, Rush Hour is an explosive mix of comedy and action that totally hooked me. The pros: Jackie Chan's mind-blowing stunts, Chris Tucker killing it with every joke, and their chemistry that you can't take your eyes off. The cons: the plot can be a bit simple at times, and some jokes feel a tad dated. But overall, it's a cult classic that keeps you pumped from start to finish. If you love high-energy action and humor, go watch it. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments.